What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, February 12th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. We have some major breaking news coming in this morning. Apparently, the shooter at Joel Osteen's church in Houston has turned out to be a transgender individual who had the words Free Palestine written on the rifle used by this individual. Okay, so this appears to be potentially the first. Okay, what you're looking at here is a picture of the shooter. Okay, again, the words Free Palestine were found written on the rifle used by the shooter, so that is very concerning. We also have some breaking news coming in from Iran. Iran's former foreign minister and nuclear chief Ali Akbar Salehi said in a televised interview that Iran has the capability already to develop nuclear weapons. He said, "We have crossed all the thresholds of nuclear science and technology." Here's an example. Imagine what a car needs. It needs a chassis, an engine, a steering wheel, a gearbox. You're asking if we've made the gearbox. I say yes. Have we made the engine? Yes. But each one serves its own purpose. Okay, so this is the former Iranian foreign minister and nuclear chief saying that Iran already has everything needed to build nuclear weapons. This is extremely concerning. And Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is not going to be attending this month's defense ministers meeting in Brussels. Okay, this is the NATO monthly defense ministers meeting as part of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. He's not going to be attending in person. A U.S. defense official told Fox News, and it's not clear yet who on the U.S. side will be attending in his place or if Lloyd Austin will be attending virtually. Now, he has been admitted to the critical care wing of Walter Reed. Okay, want to just read to you this statement that was put out late last night. Earlier today, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin was transported by his security detail to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to be seen for symptoms suggesting an emergent bladder issue. Tonight, after a series of tests and evaluations, the secretary was admitted into the critical care unit at Walter Reed for supportive care and close monitoring. At this time, it is not clear how long Secretary Austin will remain hospitalized. The current bladder issue is not expected to change his anticipated full recovery. His cancer prognosis remains excellent. So he has some kind of bladder issue, sounds like complications from his surgery. And the Israeli military has released footage of the two hostages that they rescued yesterday. Very daring rescue. Here's one of the hostages, an elderly man, and here's the other hostage, younger guy. So this is definitely some good news. They also actually released some like combat footage when they were infiltrating and exfiltrating. I'll show you guys that in a second here, but this is some good news. We also have some breaking news that last night a Greek-owned cargo ship, the Star Iris, was hit by two missiles in the Red Sea. Apparently, the Houthis launched these missiles. So, very concerning, guys. There was also reportedly another missile attack on a U.S. base in Syria. The Al Omar oil field base was attacked in eastern Syria by a missile, according to local sources. Okay, so the attacks in the Red Sea and on our bases are continuing. Okay, very, very serious situation going on. And I want to update you also on what happened last night in Rafah and the latest with Egypt. Here's some of the footage that the IDF released when they were exfiltrating and infiltrating this apartment complex that these hostages were being held at, and they used air support to exfiltrate. So the Israeli military showing their prowess here. It's one of the things that the Israeli military is known for is hostage rescue. That's what they're best at, probably the best in the world at hostage rescue. When you think about all the different terrorist incidents they've had to deal with over the last 50 years, I mean, they've become masters at this, okay? And a Russian nuclear bomber flew off the coast of NATO today for more than 5 hours in the Norwegian Sea. And Lieutenant General Kobliash, commander of Russia's long range aviation, said the flight was carried out in strict accordance with international rules for the use of airspace. So, very interesting that they would fly nuclear bombers off the coast of Norway today and last night. And over the weekend, they flew several bombers towards Alaska into Alaska's Air Defense Identification Zone. And apparently, the IRGC tested a long range ballistic missile today from a naval warship. Okay, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they're part of the Iranian military. They tested a long range ballistic missile from a naval surface ship. So apparently, Israel's emergency management leader is saying that they are preparing for a scenario that would lead to half of Israel being cut off from electricity during a war with Hezbollah. So they're actually preparing for emergency situations due to a war with Hezbollah. Let me just read to you some of the excerpts here from his interview with Israel Hayam. Okay, this is Israeli news outlet. The head of National Emergency Authority confirms Israel prepares for prolonged blackouts in case of a war with Hezbollah. 50% of the population may be cut off from electricity. A war in the north is a different story and is expected to significantly challenge the national production and supply chain. We understand that the issue of energy and regular supply of electricity will be the focus, so we will be holding a war game in the near future on this issue under the auspices of the Minister of Defense. We need to prepare here for an extensive blackout, a power cut, in addition to the development of a full scope military event in the north. Almost everything is based on energy and electricity. Together with the Ministry of Communications, we activated AM receivers that will allow continuous radio transmissions even in the absence of electricity, even in a bomb shelter or a residential secure space. I advise everyone to buy, among other things, a transistor radio, batteries, and bottled water. We are also working on an energy solution for several cellular endpoints that will function during prolonged power outages. Medical ventilators and breathing support machines are another example of needed devices, and the Ministry of Health has already approved ways to help patients on ventilators during a prolonged power outage. Time is precious and plans must be ready. We have, for example, analyzed potential threats with the Ministry of Economy. The ministry has designated supermarkets from Hadera and north with energy backup, which will continue to provide service during prolonged power outages. This is called the Super Iron Program. The ministry will practice a war game with the large retail chains to rehearse the procedure. The Ministry of Economy also stocked up on 20,000 food rations to distribute to citizens in shelters with issues of accessibility via the local authorities. So Israel's preparing for an all-out war with Hezbollah. Okay, that's why they haven't gone into Lebanon yet, because they're still preparing. They're still wargaming everything. They're making sure that some of their supermarkets have, backup power, and that they have food rations, and that they have ways to communicate with the Israeli people. in the event of a power outage, but they're preparing for basically half of Israel's power to be cut. That is huge, guys. That's like a huge war. Could you imagine if half of America lost power? That would be insane. But I think we're going to see this very soon. I think once Israel is done in Rafah and they've mostly completed their operations in Gaza, they're going to turn their attention to Hezbollah. And this update was sponsored by Patriot Supply. Guys, Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1 month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1 month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the Patriot Supply 1 month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And Egypt is closely following the situation in Rafah and is ready to deal with all scenarios, according to a high-level source in the Egyptian government to local media. And Egypt confirmed again today that any ground operation in Rafah will lead to the immediate suspension of the 1979 peace agreement with Israel. And Egypt sent messages to Israel yesterday that it would consider reducing relations if it carried out a ground operation in Rafah. Cairo assured Israel that it will not allow the policy of forced displacement of Palestinians. And the French foreign minister said there is no justification for any attack by the Israeli army on Rafah. Okay, so France is siding with Egypt. And we know that Erdogan, the president of Turkey, is going to Egypt on Wednesday. And U.S. defense officials, alongside President Biden, were reportedly receiving regular updates from the Israeli government during their hostage rescue operation last night within the city of Rafah. So very interesting. So Biden was receiving regular updates from Israel. And it does appear that the strikes on Rafah last night were limited in scope, and it's not the actual beginning of the Rafah operation. Some people are saying that this was just related to the hostage rescue, but I don't believe it, because they were hitting Rafah with, multiple missiles from land, sea, and air. You don't need to do that if you're just rescuing hostages. I think that was basically like a preliminary softening blow to Hamas before they go in on the ground. And I think we're going to see more like airstrikes this week before Israel actually goes in on the ground. Okay, but I do believe that Israel will be moving in on the ground any day now, this week probably. They've already massed, dozens and dozens of Merkava main battle tanks, armored vehicles, and also Egypt has massed tanks and armored vehicles, and also air defense missiles along their border with Israel and Gaza around Rafah. Okay, so a lot of tensions in the Middle East right now. Here we have some video footage of some Egyptian air defense missiles being moved to the border with Rafah. Okay, so this could really spiral out of control, and we could even have a full-blown war between Egypt and Israel. It's very possible, guys. Okay, so please make sure you're getting prepared. Things are continuing to escalate around the world, okay, between Israel and its neighbors, between the US and the Iranian proxies and the Houthis, North Korea, South Korea, China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, Russia, NATO. And then we have all the issues here in the US, okay? And Hamas leader Osama Hamdan said that what Israel offered regarding the exchange of hostages confirms that it is not serious about making a deal. So basically saying that Israel didn't offer enough for a hostage exchange. Okay. An Israeli airstrike targeted a vehicle late last night in Bint Jabil, a Hezbollah stronghold in southern Lebanon. It appears to have been an attempted assassination operation on Hezbollah official Maroun al-Ras Mohammed Alawi. At the same time, they also struck the Aleppo airport in Syria. So, very interesting. And Israel has transferred its largest regular army division from Gaza to the border with Lebanon. Okay, that was over the weekend. Very, very serious, okay, for them to do that. And Hezbollah's leader Nasrallah met with the Islamic Jihad leader Nakhalieh. So that's very interesting. And a Dutch court has ordered authorities to stop the delivery of spare parts for F 35s to Israel. Okay, so the Netherlands is depriving Israel of spare parts for F 35s now. This was over the weekend. And the Iranian foreign minister has met with various Palestinian leaders in the capital of Syria, Damascus, to discuss the latest developments in Gaza, including the Rafah military operation, which is basically imminent. We know that the Iranian foreign minister already met with Bashar al Assad, the president of Turkey. He also met with the leaders of Hezbollah. So things are really escalating, guys, okay? And Biden has been venting his frustration over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in recent private conversations, NBC News reported, citing 5 sources involved in the matter who said Biden blamed Netanyahu as the main obstacle to reaching a ceasefire in Gaza. He just feels like this is enough. It has to stop. One of the sources said of the views expressed by Biden. This is not the first report of such comments made by the U.S. president regarding his Israeli counterpart. Politico earlier in February claimed Biden called Netanyahu a bad effing guy. NBC News also says, according to 3 of the people directly familiar with his comments, at least once Biden called Netanyahu an a-hole. Wow. So that is very concerning, guys. Very, very concerning. Here we have the official British Maritime Organization warning that was posted late last night for this attack on the Greek cargo ship. Okay, it says here, Master reports his vessel was attacked by 2 missiles. Okay, you can see the time here, 035 UTC time. Okay, so just after midnight UTC time. So this would have been late last night Eastern time, sometime during the Super Bowl. This happened. Okay, very, very concerning. And Biden posted this strange tweet on his Twitter account late last night after the Super Bowl at 10:50 p.m. And he just wrote, just like we drew it up. This tweet has 150 million views as of this afternoon, and it looks really bizarre. He's got like these red eyes, kind of reminds me of like Thanos from the Avengers. Okay, he's looking like really diabolical and evil. Very bizarre. Not sure what to make of that. We have a U.S. Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer leaving San Diego today. The Lena Sutcliffe Higbee DDG 123 just left port in San Diego. We don't know where it's going, probably to the Western Pacific, because we have 3 aircraft carrier strike groups now in the Western Pacific. And Ukrainian intelligence reports that Russian operators of Iranian made drones are being trained in Syria at the Shayrat airport. The training is led by a Hezbollah commander named Kamal Abu al Sadiq, specializing in the manufacture and maintenance of drones. The Lebanese Iranian Russian training course includes mastering the Shahed 136 and Ababil 3 drones, in addition to remotely controlled Thunder drones. Okay, so very concerning, guys. Okay, the Russians are being trained by Hezbollah in Syria on the use of Iranian drones. Absolutely crazy, guys. And there are reports that Russia has started recruiting mercenaries from Syria, Libya, and other Middle Eastern and African countries to fight on the front lines in Ukraine. And various intelligence reports are stating that the Hmaimim air base in Syria has become the center where mercenaries are registered and sent to Russia. Wow. And the British aircraft carrier, the HMS Prince of Wales, has finally set sail towards Eastern Europe for the massive NATO exercise ongoing right now. And this exercise is supposed to last all the way through June and include 90,000 troops, which is the largest NATO exercise since 1988, before the fall of the USSR and the Warsaw Pact. So this is very concerning, guys. NATO doing this massive so-called exercise, which I don't believe is an exercise. I think it's an actual forward deployment of forces. And we know that the Baltic countries have agreed to build a massive defense line along their borders with Russia and Belarus. And Estonia is building 600 bunkers along their 200-mile border with Russia. That's approximately one bunker for every 1/3 of a mile. And Poland is now secretly building bunkers and fortifications along their border with Russia and Belarus. And Poland set up that massive air navigation warning about a week ago, warning pilots that there could be unplanned military actions related to ensuring state security. And Norwegian intelligence says that Russia's planned defense spending for 2024 is unparalleled in recent Russian history, with an increase of $48 billion in nominal terms, which is a 61% increase in real terms from 2023. Russia's official defense budget consequently totals 118 billion US dollars, or almost 30% of government budget expenditure in 2024. That is insane. In the GDP forecast for 2024, the defense budget makes up 6.1% of Russia's GDP. They also said that Russia's northern fleet has not been affected by the Ukraine war and actually has been slowly expanding, with more vessels being added since the war began, and that the northern fleet poses a serious risk to NATO given its proximity to NATO territory. Russia has a sophisticated deep water program that will continue to threaten undersea critical infrastructure, especially in the time of war. Russia will continue to develop military infrastructure in the Arctic, including air bases and military bases, radar sites, and coastal defense installations. Testing of new Russian weapon systems will also continue in the high north. Further testing of ICBMs, long-range precision-guided weapons, hypersonic missiles, and anti-satellite weapons is expected. Weapons designed for nuclear propulsion, both missiles and torpedoes, were tested at Novaya Zemlya in 2023, and this activity is expected to continue. The testing carries a risk of accidents and local radioactive emissions. So that's the latest report from Norwegian intelligence. Lots of good nuggets there. And Ukraine has transferred to Avdiivka one of its best brigades, the 3rd Assault Brigade. This was reported by Forbes. And the new Ukrainian forces will try to move the Russian army away from the main paved road leading to the center of Avdiivka. So if you guys are not aware, Russia is about to take over the critical city of Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine. It's looking like a similar scenario as Bakhmut, where they encircled the city, and Ukraine is trying to prevent that. So they're sending their best brigade to prevent Russia from encircling the city while they wait for Western equipment. And Ukraine's air defense destroyed 14 out of 17 Iranian drones that Russia launched overnight and one guided missile. So Russia is continuing their drone and missile strikes on Ukraine. And Elon Musk is denying that Starlink was used by Russian forces during the Ukraine war. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said that Ukraine should be left as a buffer zone between Russia and the West, with allies giving the country security guarantees but not accepting it into the EU or NATO. And apparently, Ukraine has developed a new drone shield, a nationwide electronic warfare system called Pokrova, which confuses drone navigation systems. And the former Finnish Prime Minister Alexander Stubb has won Finland's presidential election yesterday. He finished narrowly ahead of former Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto in a race that heavily focused on the country's new role as a NATO neighbor of Russia. Stubb, the candidate from the center-right National Coalition Party, placed first with 51.6% of the vote, ahead of Haavisto's 48.4%. Throughout his campaign, Stubb promised unconditional support for Ukraine and called for greater NATO partnership among European allies. And there have been mass protests by Serbians in Kosovo along the border with Serbia. Apparently, the protests started after Kosovo banned the Serbian currency dinar in Kosovo. Okay, and here we have some pictures coming out of Kosovska Mitrovica. That's in northern Kosovo. It's a Serbian minority controlled area, and you can see them standing there with their flags. And North Korea is now able to reach Seoul with their latest laser-guided, short-range, nuclear-capable ballistic missiles. The North Korean state-run media said over the weekend that a control system was successfully tested, enabling them to launch multiple missiles simultaneously. Very concerning, guys. And that would basically allow them to saturate South Korea with missile fire, potentially nuclear warheads on each missile, tactical nuclear warheads, maybe hundreds of them launched simultaneously, okay, at South Korea. So that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell icon below the video so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.